Alright, summary chapter 1. With the completion of this chapter, you have now gained the necessary information for the foundation of further study of electricity. The following summary of the important part that they describe the composition of matter following terms are important to remember. Matter is defined anything that occupies space and weight, an element that is something that cannot be reduced to a simpler substance than chemical, meaning the compound chemical combination elements with the separated with the chemical, meaning the physical means the created with the chemically combined two or more elements. The mixture is a combination of elements, compounds that be separated with the physical, meaning the chemical combination two or more atoms, compound with the molecule, smallest particle with all the characteristics of the compound. An atom, smallest particle element retained with the characteristics of the element. An atom is made with electron, proton, and neutron. The number of the arrangement of the subatomic particle is determined by the kind of the element. So for the proton, hydrogen, helium. Hydrogen has one, helium has two electrons. The nucleus in the proton also is equal to the same amount as the electrons. In the nucleus. An electron considered the negative charge of electricity, a proton considered the positive charge of electricity, and a neutron neutral particle with no electrical charge. Energy electron are two types of the kinetic energy, mode, potential energy of the mode position. Energy level the electron exists, which we cover the electron has past motion, mass and motion, give the kinetic energy, give position, give the potential energy balance, keep the electrician in orbit, should give an energy, then assume the orbital further than center of the atom that will remain and level of only for action with the second before it indicate the excess energy can be taken in lower orbit. New orbit, old orbit, photon show the shell and subshell of the electron with the orbit and with the electron in each of the atom. The shells contain the maximum 2 times number squared electron shell. The shell that can letter to K through Q, with starting with a K, then with the closest to the nucleus. The shells can be split into 4 subshells labeled SPDF, which contain 6, 10, and 14 electrons, and respectively. Layers designated in shells numbered the K1, L2, M3, N4, OP, O5, P6, 7Q. Copper is show the 2, 2, and 6 and 2, 6, 10, or KLSS, PSTDS. Valency of an atom determine the number of electrons outer shell, with the shell refer to the valency with electrons, with the valency of electrons in an atom, but the fuel valency requires little energy for the free valency electrons. Ionization refers to the electrons contained within an atom. The atom with a positive charge has left. Some of the electrons is called the positive ion. The negatively charged atom with a negative ion. Conductor, semiconductor, insulator are characterized with some of the main valency of electrons. Atom with the conductor normally 3 or less in valence. So the electrons are a little opposition with the fellow. With electrons, electron current. The insulators contain 5 or more valency. Electrons offer high position of electron flow. The semi with the conductor, usually with the 4 valency electrons. Conductivity is in the mid range. The best conductor in order of the conductance is silver, copper, and gold, and aluminum. Charging body, and charged bodies. The effect of the other power with the two bodies that have the unequal charge of the broad with each such of each of them with the tend to attract each of the attempt to equal the respective charge of the two bodies may have the either positive or negative charges brought closer together, tend to repel each other. No equalization can occur with the charge of the one body but to have enough to respectively charge the adjacent body with the equivalent current will flow between the bodies regardless of the conductive material containing the body. Unlike charge charges attract and like charges repel. Neutral body must be attracted with a positively negatively charged body due to the relative difference respective of the charges charged by the real attract with respect to each of the force with the directional and proportional product of the individual charges inversely with the proportional square of the distance between the bodies. Show the A and B electrostatic line with the force or graphic representation field around with the charge of the body. These lines are imaginary line with the positive charge of the base and they indicate the flowing out of the body with the which line with the negatively charged with the indicate the flowing with the into the body with the magnetism properties of the material enable the attract P of the iron material with the properties called the magnet. Many material with the attract with the magnet can be made into the magnet itself. Ferromagnetic materials are materials that easily magnetize iron, steel, or cobalt. Natural magnets called magnetite load and stone leading stones were first magnets for the B type. The most magnets are practical artificial man-made magnets. Magnets are made either electrical means or by stroking magnetic material with a magnet. Reluctancy to find opposition material to be magnetized with primary ability to define the ease of the material except the magnetism. Material which is easily magnetized does not hold the magnetism very long, and vice versa. Relativity is the ability to material to retain magneticity. Magnetism, magnetic poles located at each end of the magnet with a majority of the magnet force is concentrated with these poles they approximately equal to both poles. So the northern direction of the compass is magnetic northern southern polarity, geographic north pole and geographic south, and the magnetic south northern south northern polarity. North pole of the northern seeking polarity magnet freely suspend with the string always pointing toward the north geographical pole. The like pole of the magnets repel each other while the unlike poles attract each other. Weber's theory of magnetism, assuming that all the materials made with the magnet metal molecules will line up with the north and south pole South pole orbital magnet. If not lined up with the magnetic field of the molecule that neutralize each other, no magnetic effect will be affected. Shift the motion, the magnet of the bar being magnetized and the bar magnetized. The domain theory of the magnetism state that the electron of the atom's material will spin more in the direction and other than material will be magnetized. The number of the electrons spinning counterclockwise from the left and the number of electrons spinning clockwise is the same. Subshells incomplete. MD with incomplete mobile electrons on the outside ring. Magnetic field steadily exists with the space surrounding the magnet. Iron filling, glass plate, and over magnetic lines of force. Imaginary line with the describe the pattern of the magnetic field with the magnet with the line with assumed the flow with externally from the north pole into the south poles. The magnetic flux is total the number of the magnetic line force and leave within entering the pole of the magnet. Like poles attract, like poles repel. Flux density number of the flux lines per unit. Field intensity, intensity of the magnetic field direct relation to the magnetic force exerted in the field. The intensity of the attraction and repulsion magnetic pole that may be described in the laws that identically the Coulomb laws charged body for the force between the two poles, directly proportional to the product of the pole strength, inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the poles. Magnetic shield can be accomplished by placing a soft iron shield with a should be object with a projected with a direct line with the force around the object, and also show the soft iron. The magnets are classified by shift and cooling the bar magnet, horseshoe magnet, ring magnet, even the computer memory circle with the horseshoe magnet. It did some of the meter circle with the energy. It made it define the ability to work. The coulomb is C is the basic unit that indicates the electrical charge. One coulomb is equal to 6.28 10.18. 10 to the 18th electrons. When one coulomb, the charge that exists between the two bodies, the electromagnetic force is 1 volt. Voltage measures the difference potential of the two charges. For the inch of the voltage measured may be expressed with the following units: volts, kilovolts, or millivolts, or microvolts. For example, 1,000 kilovolts, 1 millivolt is 1,000th of a volt, and 1 microvolt is 1 millionth of a volt. Method of practice. Practicing volts include friction pressuring, piezoelectric, 1 quartz of crystal compressed electrical flow, pressure converts to decompressed electrical flow, heat thermal electrical, hot junction copper, cold junction hot iron burner electrical flow. Light photoelectric cell, the photosynthesis of the silver oxide serves the anode for electrical flow. Electrons emitted toward the anode light source of the light source. A transparent layer past light collects in the photoelectrons. Photosynthesis of copper oxide, pure copper base layer. Electrical current flow from B. Chemical action in a battery, and also serve the zinc electrode, copper electrode, diluted sulfuric acid electrode, glass jar, magnetism, electromagnetic induction generator. Electromagnetic induction generator to boost the voltage of the mechanism. 3 conditions must be met. There must be a conductor in which the voltage will be produced. There must be a magnetic field with the conductor vicinity, but there must be a relative of the motion between the field and the conductor. These conditions are met with the electron with the conductor with a propel with one direction and other, creating the alpha electromagnetic force, as also the magnetic field with the copper wire on conducting direction motion without induced no motion. Induced EMF reverse motion, reverse and backflow, electro flow, show the D. Electron is based on the assumption of the electron current with the negative positive through the circle with an electron current, the direct movement of the electron conductor circuit. The amplitude base for the U that indicate the electrical current with the current with 1 amp is set with the file with 1 coulomb with the charge 6.28 times 10 to the 18th electron spat for the given point with the 1 second time of the current measured expressed with the following units of amp, the milliamperes and microamperes with the current with the circuit increase with the one portion of the voltage EMF applied with across the circle. The resistance of the opposition of the current with the basic unit. The resistance is the represented with the Greek letter omega. The current says so. They have 1 ohm of resistance when the EMF is of 1 volt called the 1 amp of the current flow with the conductor. The resistance that we express is in the following units: ohm or kilo ohm, mega ohms. For example, the 1 million ohms or 1 kilo ohm. 100 ohms equals 1,000 kilo ohms or 1 m ohm. Resistance of the material determines the type of the physical dimension, the temperature of the material. The good conductor contained with the abundance of 3 electron cross-sectional area of the given conductor increase, the resistance will decrease. The length of the conductor increase, the resistance will increase. The material having the positive temperature coefficient, the resistance will increase the temperature, and the increase of the conductor of the material the reciprocal resistance in the unit of the conductance, MH over the symbol of the VEG or S. Resistor manufactured produced with a specific value of the resistance. Carbon resistor made of the carbon filled with the binders familiar in control with the magnetic value. Alright, you have a 1/4 watt, 1/2 watt, 1 watt, and 2 watt, and your wire round resistors are 10 watt, 50 watt, and 100 watt. Resistance of wire wound resistors determine the metal content with the wire's length. Wire wound resistors may be tapped by 2 or different voltage values may be taken in the same resistor. Alright, typical resistor, fixed carbon zigzag, fixed wire tap with 2 filled in connections on the resistor, and also adjusted wire wound. Is goes back to the typical resistor with a fixed carbon with a dash through it, or a zigzag with an ray through it. Potential pentameter is a ported two empty white ports on a zigzag with a one connection ray to it. And your rheostat would be a zigzag with one port on one open port going to a connected port with the ray back into the fixed carbon resistor. Or a pentameter and rheostat. The variable resistor can be adjusted with the resistor within their ohmic range. The rheostat is usually a relatively high current application. Two connections. The pentameter, three connection, relatively high resistant low current device. The pentameter has three resistors, so a rheostat is two, pentameter is three connections. Two examples of the pentameters. Example of a rheostat. Alright, your black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, white, violet, gray, white is your basic color, significant color code for the resistors. Gold, silver, and gold and silver no color. 1/10 of a decimal meter for gold. 1/100 of a for silver, and 20 is no color is a total percent of 20% resistance. Or the tolerance of 20%. The wattage rating of the resistor is related to the resistor physical side of it. There's greater the surface exposed to the air and the largest rating. The standard color code is resistor to determine the following: ohmic value, tolerance, reliability level of some of the resistor: red, violet, orange, silver. In the from the farthest one end, a significant multiplier in tolerance. And that completes chapter 1 summary.